I'm Dan Hoyt from the Best Game Site Ever, and today we're going to be talking about LA Noire and focusing on the ending that seemed to really bother everyone. Now, since we are going to be talking about the ending of LA Noire, if you haven't played it, I would suggest you pause the video, go buy the game, play the game, you'll thank me later, think about the ending, and then watch the rest of this video. I would suggest the Game of the Year edition since the DLC cases are terrific, and without them the game is a little too short. Okay, so I love Rockstar games. A lot. I've played almost all of their games to the fullest extent. My favorite is Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, of which I have a huge promotional poster hanging in my house. Rockstar and Team Bondi did an excellent work with LA Noire. Unfortunately, the sad part is that since Team Bondi no longer exists, it's a little confusing as to who actually owns the LA Noire intellectual property, ensuring that we will probably never see an actual sequel. Ultimately, when we get down to the ending of LA Noire, people are a little unhappy that Cole Phelps died. Many of them are unhappy with the anticlimactic nature of the final scene, and many are unhappy with the somewhat messy way he went down. A few are also unhappy with what they perceive as ambiguity towards Cole's death. They believe that he could somehow have survived. Now, I have a different complaint altogether that we're going to explore, but first let's explore the actual ending to the game and why it was absolutely necessary for Cole to die. Early in the game, we see that Cole is governed by the letter of the law. For him, it is that simple. Someone commits a crime, that person goes to jail. We see him coldly arrest criminals without anger, remorse, or empathy. For him, his code of morality is dictated by the law. It is his strength, and he can act quickly and decisively since the law has already determined what he should do. He does everything by the book, whatever the book happens to be at the time. We see flashbacks of him during World War II, both following arbitrary orders and giving them, because that is his function. Then we come across this scene.
Pleasure to meet you, Alphonse. Is Elsa singing tonight?
Yes, she is. She has the next set.
Come on, Cole, you can meet Elsa while they're fixing us a table. You'll like her. She's something else.
Maybe another night, Roy. She's pretty beat up about it.
Get your hands off me. Don't ever tell me what to do or what not to do, Alphonse. You got a nice club here. Don't spoil it.
If you will follow me, detectives. Just through the door.
He was my only real friend, Harlan. We went through it all. Do you realize what he meant to me?
Of course I do.
You have no idea. You said it was construction work.
It was an industrial accident, Elsa. How can I be held responsible?
Elsa, are you going on?
Louis, for God's sake, he was my best friend. The only man who ever loved me without putting his hands on me.
Hi, Elsa. Here's someone I'd like you to meet. Cole Phelps, war hero and crime fighter extraordinaire.
And why would I want to meet another fascist from the LAPD?
Sorry about this, Cole. What an evening I'm having. First a Negro puts his hands on me, and then this. Who do you think you're talking to, you German junkie whore? Don't you ever forget your place with me again. Do you hear me? Evening, Doc. How's business?
Sanguine. Louis, help me here. I'm gonna have to give her something before her performance.
Blow it off, Cole. These artsy-fartsy types always get a little flighty. Meet Dr. Harlan Fontaine, doctor to the stars. Mr. Fix-It to the mental wreckage of Hollywood. So what about that drink, boys?
Now, I know a lot has already been said about this scene, but it's an important scene, so let's make sure we're on the same page. Cole may be new to the police force, but he knows that Roy Earl is out of line. If he really was the hero everyone thinks he is, then he would stand up to Roy, who is an influential member of the LAPD and is the one who invited him on this little late-night trip, despite the consequences. Later, when he chides Rusty Galloway for his drinking, we know that deep down Cole is actually a hypocrite. He is only willing to criticize when it will improve his image, not when it could actually affect him. His own image is the real driving factor for Cole. This is important to understand because we can see how much of the shift Cole's affair and his subsequent fall from grace has on him. Cole becomes less interested in improving his image of himself as a by-the-book hero and more interested in actually being a hero. He begins to see the world not just as black and white, but in shades of gray. He learns about humility, which was always something he struggled with, and he becomes a much more complex character in the process. As Elsa puts it so eloquently,
he can finally see things from a human perspective, rather than the ivory tower he created for himself. It's making him stronger. It's making me stronger helping him.
now Cole's untimely death begins to make sense. Cole sacrifices himself because he has truly become the hero everyone originally thought he was. The other piece of background that makes Cole sacrifice himself is his commendation during the Battle of Okinawa. He was awarded the Silver Star not because he was brave, but because he was the lone survivor of his battalion due to his cowering in a foxhole. The incident clearly haunted Cole throughout the rest of his life, and the Silver Star served as a constant reminder of the cowardice he felt while lying in that hole. By the end of the game, Cole has developed into a much stronger character. He has become willing to actually make the sacrifices required of him and stand up to other cops. Just look at this wonderful scene between Cole and Roy.
What have you got?
Looks like a drug overdose.
Get away from him, Phelps. This is my case.
Shut your fucking mouth! Since when does a bagman work a case?
I knew this creep was in on the morphine heist. Victim of his own product.
Hey, detective! Can we back it off a notch? This is getting out of
There's
hand.
a time to talk and a time to shut up. Now is the time to be quiet, son.
Courtney Sheldon was a corpsman, Roy. He served his country. He went out with a medical kit and an Army 45 into places that made the Valley of Death look like a picnic. He was either naive enough or dumb enough to get involved in the Suburban Redevelopment Fund, along with the mayor, the DA, Monroe, and a certain crooked cop. He was involved in the morphine heist, but he has a puncture wound in his jugular, which makes this a murder case. He was a better man than you'll ever know. You say one more word about him and I will blow your fucking head off!
You finally lost it, partner.
I have a pretty good idea why Shelton is dead. And I know about Monroe. Your vast, corrupt future is draining away as we speak.
I got better things to do than argue the rub with you.
Stay with him until the coroner gets here. Make sure technical services bags the evidence. If you let this creep anywhere near it, I'll come looking for you.
Yes, sir.
You know, Phelps, you're not the worst asshole going around.
Thanks, Herschel.
Compare that scene to the earlier one and you see how much of a change Cole has gone through. Cole's ultimate sacrifice was inevitable. By the end of the game, Cole knew that sacrifice was necessary for him to be the hero he aspired to become. Cole dying heroically, sacrificing himself to save Elsa and Jack Kelso, was what truly made him worthy of that Silver Star. Now, I'll just come out and say it. The fact that Cole died was a great ending. The real problem I have is with the last mission. After spending the great majority of L.A. Noire as Cole Phelps, finishing the game as Jack Kelso made me feel cheated. Here, I've spent dozens of hours with this character. This is his game after all, and during the big shootout at the end, you play as Jack, only to have Cole rush in halfway through the final scene. This is the real problem with the ending of L.A. Noire. Now, I propose you consider my alternative ending. During the car chase across town, you play as Kelso, trying to evade the police, when Phelps and Briggs come to your rescue by preventing cop cars and thugs from knocking you off the road. In this manner, it would give the player a moment of feeling like they are being rescued by the heroic Cole Phelps, and it would also add a few interesting moments of having to avoid going off the road independently prior to Cole coming to the rescue. You could even add Jack questioning how far his friend, Cole, is willing to go to see this through. Imagine you, as Kelso, finding yourself trapped and barricaded in when suddenly Cole and Briggs come crashing through, creating a hole for Kelso to escape through. This role reversal would give the player the opportunity to spend some more time with Kelso before the final shootout in the sewers, during which you would now play as Cole Phelps while he fights against corrupt cops and hired thugs under the command of Chief Worrell. which is probably what he was actually doing before he shows back up at the end of the game anyways. It would even be a more poignant moment for Cole and the player as you find yourself fighting against other officers. You could even have both Cole and Jack fighting side by side instead of splitting up. They have always been on rough terms, and the event would have marked a genuine reconciliation between the two before Cole heroically sacrifices himself to save Jack and Elsa. I think the final segment of the game really needs to be played as Cole Phelps. This is his game. This is the guy on the cover. He's the one who we've followed from his enlistment in the Marine Corps through World War II into the police force through his triumphs and his fall from grace. He is L.A. Noire, and not spending the last segment of the game as him made me feel cheated. The final exchange with Ira Hogaboom may need to be a little reworked, but I'm not proposing a huge departure from what actually happened in the game. All I'm proposing is a focus on Cole's final moments before his heroic sacrifice. I think some people just didn't like Cole dying at the end of the game, as they felt a real connection to him and were cheering for his success until the very end. But I think many people who didn't like the ending feel the same way I do, but struggle to explain their dissatisfaction and instead express it as remorse at Cole's death. I like that he died at the end, but I just wanted to have the final moments of his game spent with me, and not off stage. At the end of the day, L.A. Noire is one of my favorite games, but this stumble at the end left me incredibly disappointed, and makes me wish Rockstar and Team Bondi had put a little more thought into how to wrap up the story of Cole Phelps. Thanks for stopping by and watching this. Feel free to leave a comment since we encourage discussion even if we disagree with you. Thinking about these kinds of issues is the point, and we would hope that this video has at least encouraged you to think. If you really like this video, check out my previous work on Feminist Frequency and their first Damsels in Distress video. Be sure to check out thebestgamesiteever.com for more reviews, features, news, and commentary about gaming, and feel free to like us on Facebook, because the internet is lonely and we have poor self-esteem.